Pretty simple session today. Just two blocks, pretty standard movements. Okay, so we're going to go first into the goblet squat with this one. I'm looking for here. No, we're not going to go into the goblet squat. What we're going to do first is a quick flow. Apologies, just don't feel like editing that out. So, yeah, the editors or the director's cut. So what I'm doing here, guys, is a standard flow. I'm just going to walk out into a Spider-Man or hip flexor stretch and a T-spine rotation. Walk back into a squat. Just open up the hips a little bit because, spoiler alert, we'll have some goblet squats coming up in a minute. So again, Spider-Man stretch, sink down, T-spine rotation. Both sides, walk back into the squat. You can do a few extra repetitions of these if you want to, but it's just a little bit of freestyling to warm up and loosen out. I'm just going to do some hamstring floss next, so just 8 repetitions on each side. Just when we're extending, just go easy on these ones initially as well too. You can flex your foot if you want to. Trying to keep the thigh pretty much in place on this one. So just 8 each side, nothing complex or crazy. And then after those, just for a quick bit of to warm up the hips a little bit, just going to do some sliders. Again, with this one, I'm just going to go for 8 on each side. So always I'm stressing not to, just be careful, make sure there's no strain in the inside of the knee on this one. Slow, controlled movement. We're just going to go for 8 and 8, and that should be us prepped then and ready to get going into the workout. So block number 1, goblet squats. We're going to work with a tempo of 3-0 x1. Well, it's not very explosive, but meaning pretty much a 3-second negative, 3 seconds on the way down, 2, 1, elbows inside the knees and back up. So normal, well, I suppose I did say fast on the way up, but all I'm trying to really emphasize here is slow on the way down. Open up the hips to the top. We can hold for a second and then again control. So make sure the shape of our spine isn't changing on the way down, meaning that I'm not overextending or letting my chest flare up on the way down. So tight core, tight midline. I'm going to go for 12 repetitions here. So when the squats are done then, quick recovery, about 30 seconds. So we're going to go into our single leg Romanian deadlift next. Single leg RDL. If we are struggling with this one, we can use do a hand supported variation. What I'm trying to do here is get my rear leg and my torso kind of moving at the same time, more or less. So I'm not lowering my torso down and then swinging my leg back. I'm not getting everything to move as a unit. And I'm coming up, I'm not particularly putting all of my weight through the moving leg in this case. I'm just kind of touching the floor more or less. Squeezing through the right glute, the standing leg on the way up. And again with this one, it's definitely working balance. I do feel that my ankles are rolling a bit in these runners, but you can go bare feet or in your socks if you want to. We're going to go for 10 on each side, and it's basically just those two movements then that we're going to superset. So the goblet squat with tempo, and then the single leg Romanian deadlift. the second block then is kettlebell swing. So I'm kind of electing for 20 repetitions here. Keep it slightly aerobic as well. So overall, it's a decent enough intensity in this workout today. So it's going to be easing ourselves into the week really. I mean, we're not obviously gaming it and kind of going into autopilot here. Should be intent and focus on each movement, but it's more of a build-up session for the week really. So if we don't have access to a kettlebell here or a dumbbell, or the weight isn't kind of right for us, and we have access to bands, we could look at possibly a setup like band pull-throughs instead. So the band I'm about to use here is quite light, so I just did 15 repetitions for demonstration, but again, depending on the band, we can change the repetition range to suit where we are getting our glutes to really work at the top of the repetition. We feel like we are doing some work. So I'm not hyperextending at the top again, it's glutes, I'm trying to tuck the hips under. My upper back will look slightly rounded, but really the emphasis here for me is really on that posterior tilt in the top position. Arms are pretty much static as well here. I'm not swinging my arms forward like I have a kettlebell. They're kind of staying more or less just by my sides and extended. So it's the hips that I'm using to create that extension there too, not pulling from the arms, hips doing the work. Again, the pull throughs are just an option if you don't have an adequate kind of weighted kettlebell or an appropriate weighted kettlebell or dumbbell. So when the swings or the pull throughs are done, we're just going to have a look at an RKC plank. So we're going to go 40 seconds on the RKC plank this week, 10 seconds more than what we normally do. Again, really focusing on good alignment here. I want to have my nose over my thumbs. Again, posterior tilt, trying to keep my lower back flat, squeezing my glutes hard, squeezing my legs together on my tippy toes. And trying to, almost like I said, I'm trying to drag my elbows towards my feet. So I'm kind of really bracing as hard as I can. It'll be 40 seconds on this one. When that's done, then we'll move into the last exercise, which will be a glute movement. So last exercise are our frog pumps. Brett Contreras one here, I believe. We're doing here is like a butterfly stretch, soles and feet together. I'm trying to keep my rib cage pinned down, and I'm kind of tucking my chin towards my chest. I can't get super high here, again, tight hips, but I want to keep my knees wide as I'm pushing up. So frog pumps, I've heard Contreras talk about 50 rep sets. Right now, you give ourselves a 30-second window, or we're trying to hit 30 repetitions. Where you get the glutes working. Okay, so it's going to be kettlebell swing or the pull throughs, then onto the RKC plank, and I'm going to finish on the frog pumps. And that's going to be block B. So just 2 blocks today, guys.